Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I am back showing off some of my latest acquisitions, some recent additions to the collection. Formerly I would say it's a heavy relics, but to come in line with some of the slightly different things that I'm going to be doing on the channel going forward, I'm basically going to just jump on the bandwagon and just call them collection updates, because that is exactly what it is. So without making anything more complicated than it needs to, heavy relics, collection updates, I'm just going to be showing off some of my latest purchases and additions to this ever-growing collection. So these articles, some of them I've had for a few months actually. Well, some of them were even Christmas presents, but the majority of them, the vinyl finds here anyway, I've actually purchased from Cult Never Dies, UK label and distro. Again, I'll put a link in the description. I frequently end up spending quite a bit of money on their website. They've got tons of cool stuff. Really quite difficult to get hold of, certainly here in the UK anyway, difficult to get hold of vinyl. And that is the majority of what I'm going to be taking you through today. All, as well, falling within the black metal subgenre. Now, I do appreciate I've been talking about a lot of black metal recently on the channel, or for the last however many months, mainly focusing on black metal. But I think that's just because I have been delving very deep into the subterranean chasms of the black metal underground, and actually I've discovered some pretty awesome stuff, I will admit. So we're keeping with black metal today, and I've got a selection of vinyl. Can't even remember. We'll just see how we get on with the time. But first of all, I'm going to take you through a couple of records, the first two full-length albums, in fact, from Swiss black metal turned industrial goth metal band Samael, or Samael? I'm not quite sure, but I say Samael. Interesting band. I have to admit, this is something that was unfamiliar to me for a long time. I think I had heard the name, but didn't actually associate the band with black metal primarily, which is what they were effectively when they began, or certainly in the early days anyway, with this album, the debut album Worship Him, and then the follow-up album, I think this was 91 and then 92, with the excellent Blood Rituals. So later in their career, or up to more recent times, they have quite drastically changed sound and style into sort of a goth, experimental band project. That might not be quite my cup of tea. However, these first two albums, when I had read about them being quite pivotal, important black metal bands from this widely regarded as being, a very well-established act and a pioneering act, this Swiss metal band that produced these two albums, and I think the third one as well, was also considered to be a very impactful, significant black metal album. When we consider that this album from 1991 was right there at the time of the second wave of black metal really taking off. This is the same year that we had some quite significantly important debuts from little known bands such as Dark Throne, and we've also got around 91 we've also got material coming from Immortal, from Enslaved, bands like that. Really important, really important. And actually this album, well, both albums in fact, so we've got Worship Him and this one, that's a slightly more progressed beast altogether, but really fitting of the time. But there's also a little bit more going on than just what we would say black metal, second wave black metal. There's elements of goth in there. There's elements of death metal as well, but it's definitely important, and it's fitting with that early second wave black metal sound and style. And it does at times remind me of Rotting Christ. Sometimes it reminds me of sort of those of the Unlight era Marduk. There's little things about it, and as I say, I am quite new to these first two records from Samael, and I think, with subsequent listens, maybe I'll be able to shed a little bit more light on that. But for me, this is good, solid, early second wave black metal stuff. So, as I say, Worship Him, the debut album, great cover, and this is a lovely Osmos Productions recent reissue. Very nice indeed. Really high quality product, actually. Just show off the back there. So that's the back art. Then we have full printed inner sleeve here. Lyrics and all. So as I say, this is from, I believe it was released in 1991, but recorded in 1990. It's got the aesthetics and the colour scheme of second wave black metal. It's diabolical. It's pretty evil stuff. But what's really lovely is this disc. This is a stunner. So it's sort of red, but it's got, I guess, like red swirl. I don't even know what you'd really call that, but it's red and clear, but it's blood red. Really cool. Really nice vinyl package. These Osmos reissues, just the releases from Osmos Productions, they're always really high quality. They're always really nice, heavy duty vinyl, and their splatter vinyls actually have sufficient splatter on them, shall we say, as opposed to some of the sort of cheaper reissues about. But this is a really solid album, and I was pleasantly surprised as a big fan of Rotting Christ. The slight similarities in that sort of gothic black metal and melodic black metal, when that comes through, really does stand out. But some brilliant tracks in the form of the title track, Worship Him. Knowledge of the Ancient Kingdom is a really good one, as is the eerie and sinister Rite of Cthulhu. Morbid Metal is a good one. Into the Pentagram is one of the real standouts. That's a really sinister track, to be honest. Evil sounding, as is Last Benediction into the instrumental The Dark. Fantastic album. Really, really solid. And as I say, this is new stuff to me, but I would totally recommend checking this one out if you're a fan of bands previously mentioned. If you're a fan of Rotting Christ, for example. So that's the debut. And then we've got the second album, Blood Ritual, from 1992. Again, this is an Osmos Productions reissue. This one is a gatefold. Very nice. Very cool indeed. Lovely package. Again, this is a very good album. It's very, very solid. I'd say that there's a notable progression, even though it's only a year apart. It's a notable progression from Worship Him. I think that this one is definitely on the heavier side. It's a heavier album. On this particular copy, we've got a lovely giant artwork poster. Try not to tear my face off with it. Nice and sharp. Really nice poster, the artwork there. So as I say, Blood Rituals is on the heavier side. I think there's certainly a lot more flourishes of death metal in there. Certain things come to the foreground in terms of the aggression. Definitely on some tracks, it's definitely heavier. You might not be able to see just because of the light here, but this is like a very interesting sort of shade of blue. Almost like an electric blue. Well, no, I wouldn't say it's electric blue. It's blue. It's clear blue, but it's quite a dark clear blue. But it's very, very cool. Very nice indeed. Again, it's heavy duty vinyl. Lovely stuff. So we get some cracking tracks on here. The second track, Beyond the Nothingness. Heavy, sinister. Poison Infiltration. After the Sepulture. Brilliant. The slightly longer, grand. I think that's the important thing as well. This is quite a grand sounding album, as opposed to the first album, which was maybe a bit sort of darker. This is sinister, but it's quite grand in its sort of orchestration and the sort of the big epic sound there. Macabre Operetta, Blood Ritual, With the Gleam of the Torches, be honest, it's just a really solid album. Really, really solid. More death metal flourishes here, as I say. More gothic vibe coming through. You can definitely notice the transition there. But it's a really solid album. Again, I would definitely recommend this album, or both of these Samael albums, for fans of Rotting Christ. If you're a fan of early Marduk, bands like Enslaved, maybe, where you've got a little bit of something different going on there. So they've got the kind of the gothic sound. They've got different elements going on here, but really nice, high quality packages, as I say. So Blood Rituals and Worship Hymn from Samael, Swiss metal. Well, I guess boundary pushers, you could say, because they seem to sort of deviate or have deviated from second wave black metal right through to sort of experimental goth industrial stuff, but cool nonetheless. So keeping it black metal, keeping it very early. This is another interesting one that I was not all that familiar with until fairly recently. This is the Black, and actually this is specifically Black Blood, I should say. So this was a demo, I believe, a short recording from Norwegian black metal project featuring the late John from Dissection. This is a really nice package. Again, this is an Osmose Productions reissue from 2021. Although it's a short release, it's very good. It's pretty evil, diabolical, early second wave black metal, definitely. It's abrasive, it's raw, but what's really cool is this disc. Check out that. That's freaking cool. Just like a print of the Baphomet, and show off that. Really cool here. Freaking evil. To be honest, it's a really evil sounding recording. If you like your lo-fi, simplistic, but heretical and diabolical second wave black metal, not quite as melodic and I guess grand as Dissection, but I would say that it's certainly very good. It's, like I say, it's abrasive black metal. What's not to enjoy? The Black with Black Blood, which I also have. So I've got the Osmose Productions vinyl there. I've also got this little gem, which I picked up a little while ago, and I must admit, I almost totally forgot about it in terms of actually talking about it here on the channel. But this is also an Osmose Productions tape reissue, and it's really cool. It's a really high quality job here, you know, just as good as the sort of vinyl or cassette reissues that we've had from Darkness Shall Rise Productions, who really do go the extra mile and produce some really high quality stuff. This is great. It's a really nice little package, just a cool piece of black metal history. And I think I'm right in remembering that this was actually recorded like in an old asylum or a mental institute. Crazy stuff, but yeah, really evil. Definitely going to appease fans of earlier sort of Blazing the Northern Sky, Under a Funeral Moon era Dark Throne, early sort of second wave black metal sounding stuff akin to Marduk, for example. Really good. The debut album I also have here from the Black, which is entitled The Priest of Satan, is again evil, utterly evil. Lovely package here. This one isn't a gatefold, but it's really high quality, really looks the part, and it's so nice when you get like a really genuinely high quality article like this, where, you know, you can see it's embossed and it just looks the part. So I believe this is a nice white vinyl. Oh yes, how could I forget the rather poetic text on the printed insert, sort of embossed. It's almost got like a gleam to it. High quality print. F off and die in hell. Lovely. So the lineup features Raytas with vocals, guitars and keyboard, the late John. Then we've got the Black on drums and keyboards, and Leviathan on bass guitars. Awesome stuff. Let's dig out that nice vinyl. Oh, made it a little bit more difficult for myself. Forgot about that. Yes, there we are. The offending article. White vinyl. Very interesting choice of colour scheme, considering the evil black nature of this particular metal. Very much akin to the nature of the debut, or the debut demo, I should say, Black Blood. It's awesome though. It sounds absolutely fitting. Definitely going to appease fans of albums, as I mentioned, like Under a Funeral Moon, and other such raw and evil second wave black metal releases. So, rather than waste time on that, the black with Priests of Satan. Up next then, we're keeping Norwegian. And I have to say that I really, really am impressed with the high quality of these particular two albums that we've got from a band that I overlooked for years, put off by the fact that they were termed prog metal or progressive metal, because I have to admit, I've gone on record to say this on the channel, prog is something that has passed me by a little bit. I just can't quite, despite my best efforts, can't quite get into the really proggy stuff, with the exception of a couple of bands, one of which is Norwegian legends, the Mighty Enslaved. But this album, I would not say is massively progressive. I'd say that it's got progressive elements to it, and it's a little bit different. But this is the second album, Frost. Now, I believe this would have been released in about 94 or 95. A stunning release, which is definitely firmly within the Viking metal or sort of Viking folky black metal end of the black metal spectrum. If I remember correctly, it's just a good old-fashioned black vinyl. But this is a grand album. And over the last few years, I've been really, really big into Enslaved, I have to admit. Heimdall, their album from 2023, was my favourite album of that very year. And I just think that they are such a stunning band. Although they are very progressive, there's enough of that metallic edge for it to still be considered, I guess, experimental black metal, if you like. But it really does tick the boxes for me, and I think they're fantastic musicians. So this is an absolute stormer of an album. As I say, it's very organic. It's got a bit of something else there. You can tell that they're incorporating a bit of intricacy, but at the same time, this is going to satisfy your fans of Bathory, for example, the sort of Viking metal bands. Brilliant tracks in the form of Frost, Loki, Fenris, Yggdrasil, Jotunblod, Wotan. Excellent stuff. Just a really solid album. I would definitely recommend checking this out. Maybe you've only heard the more recent, bigger, prolific releases from Enslaved, such as Heimdall or Utgard, but definitely go back to Frost. Revisit this, because this is a solid, solid album. We've got the core duo here of Ivar Bjornsson on guitars and electronics, and Grutel Kjeldsen on bass, vocal, and mouth harp. In full costume here, hope you can appreciate. Really nice, high quality. I love that sort of foil print there. It's great. And we've got Trim Torsen on drums and percussion. So a folky Viking black metal with little progressive elements album. A fantastic, solid release nonetheless. So, keeping with the Mighty Enslaved then, this one is a real stunner. As I say, these are all Osmos production reissues, but this is probably the prize. This is Eld in the form of double vinyl. Double album in gatefold. Such a nice high quality package. Look at that. Absolutely freaking stunning. So this was recorded and mixed in winter 96-97. So I believe this might have come out in 1997. Sometimes I get my years the wrong way around, but this is an epic album. This is where Enslaved are really they're honouring and sporting the whole Viking metal sound and aesthetics and style. They are pioneers of that, along with bands like Bathory, of course. But we kick off with that absolute epic 793, the Battle of Lindisfarne, which takes up the entirety of side A. Then we've got The Man from Hordaland, Sacrifice to the Elves, Forgotten Fire. Absolutely brilliant. To be honest, this is just a grand, epic album. I've got both of these Enslaved releases on CD, but as soon as I saw this came up, it was about £25, I think. There was no way that I was going to leave it. It's freaking stunning. And unlike the Frost album, we've got full printed inner sleeves here. Absolutely stunning stuff with the lyrics. And get a load of this epic colour scheme. Look at that gold. That is like a treasure. Freaking cool. Really, really looks the part. Eld in all of its glory. Stunning stuff indeed. So both discs are that lovely, lovely gold. And it really does look like an absolutely stunning package. So there we have it, Eld, the masterful masterpiece. Slightly different lineup here. We've got the core duo again, of course, of Grutel and Ivor, but we've got Harold Helgeson on drums this time. But they're in full regalia there, in full costume, looking the part. A stunner. So that leaves two more vinyl then. Two more particular gems in this little collection. From one of the most important black metal bands in terms of kind of incorporating the more aggressive side of black metal, maybe omitting the synths and keys and the grand nature for a lot of the music, of course. But I am talking about the mighty Swedish black metal godfathers, the mighty Marduk. And this is the second album, Those of the Unlight. And it's a lovely sort of, like a lacquer, like a film on it, but it's very refractive. So you might not be able to see that artwork all that clearly, but it's a great piece of artwork, of course. We've got those ring wraiths there, or the Nazgul. Awesome stuff. So this is an interesting album because it is a good album, not all that characteristic of a lot of the albums from Marduk. After this, of course, this is very melodic. It's a very melodic album, in fact, and it's quite grand in places. Again, Osmos Productions, lovely grey and black kind of splatter there. Really cool, high quality heavy disc. Looks the part. But there are some great tracks on this album. It might not be the most aggressive Marduk album, no, but actually it's a really strong album nonetheless. We've got tracks like Darkness Breeds Immortality, Those of the Unlight, Wolves, on Darkened Wings. It's just a brilliant, brilliant album. Burn My Coffin, Stone Stands Its Silent Vigil. Brilliant stuff. An awesome album. Mixed and mastered, recorded April 93, so this is early on, of course. And the lineup at this point, we've got Morgan, the kind of founding member, on guitars, of course. We've got B. War on bass, Joachim Afgraf on vocals, drums, and Dave O. Anderson on guitars. That's our lineup there. A very good album. A rather grand album, a dark album, but in terms of its heaviness, it was the succeeding album that absolutely knocks the spots off that in terms of just brutality. This is Heaven Shall Burn When We Are Gathered. Again, this is a lovely gatefold package. Now this album is freaking evil. This is a heavy, heavy, heavy album. I've had the CDs of both of these for many years, of course, but I absolutely love this album. This is savage. As soon as I saw it on vinyl, certainly in this colour scheme, which I will reveal to you now, I just had to have it. Look at this. Gorgeous. That sort of purpley, swirling effect. Not really sure what you'd call it. But yes, Heaven Shall Burn When We Are Gathered is an absolute belter of an album. This is aggressive second wave black metal. This is where, well, this is the point, in my opinion, where Marduk sort of stepped up the intensity and the heaviness, dispensed with a lot of the, I guess, the theatric or the gothic infusions that are evident to some degree on those of the Unlight. Dispensed with all that and just went for a full, all-out black metal, brutal assault. This album is actually produced by Peter Tagtgren and Marduk, and no keyboards used on this album. So they're taking that stance, defiant of course, a lot of black metal bands who favoured synths and big atmospherics and ambience and soundscapes. Fine, I love that stuff too, but I really love the all-out brutality of this album. When you kick off with tracks like Summon the Darkness and Beyond the Grace of God, absolutely pummeling. Glorification of the Black God, the Black Tormentor of Satan, and the absolutely formidable Legion, which closes the album there. A really, really great album. Essential, brutal, second wave black metal. Definitely for fans of Dark Funeral, for example, bands that definitely channel the more aggressive end of the black metal spectrum. So, there you have it. My latest additions to the collection in this humble collection update. Just to recap, we had the first two albums from Swiss black metal gone whatever the hell they want to be, Samael, with Worship Him and Blood Ritual. Both great albums, new to me, as I've said, but absolutely worth a listen, worth a spin. Then we've got The Black in tape and vinyl form here. The Black with Black Blood. Brilliant, raw, early second wave black metal. We've also got the debut album from The Black, which is a pretty grand one. The Priest of Satan. Evil. Evil, nasty stuff indeed. Then we've got two utterly stunning vinyl from Enslaved. We've got Frost, the wonderful second album. A real bold statement of Viking metal with black metal and progressive elements in there. The absolutely stunning Eld, double vinyl, absolute mastery. And then we've got two savage efforts. This slightly more neatly presented one. Those are the Unlight from Marduk, their second album. And in that difficult period where they were transitioning from a death metal to a black metal band, we've got a very melodic black metal band, black metal album, I should say, before this absolute all-out brutality. Heaven Shall Burn When We Are Gathered. Excellent stuff. So, what are your thoughts on these albums? Anyone else got copies? Anyone a fan of these albums? Are there any Samael albums that I should check out? Anyone else a fan of these particular efforts? Please do feel free to comment, get some interaction going. Please do feel free to like and subscribe. As always, it's very much appreciated. But thank you very, very much for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this humble review. Please do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good, heavy things. Take care of yourselves, my friends, and until next time, stay heavy.